would welcome Funolaw Tukoya, the next moderator, to start the session. Thank you, Funolaw.
It's been such a great conference so far. I've been learning so much. I even have my notebook out. I'm particularly reflecting on who we are as a reflection of the God in us. Thank you everyone for joining. I will be moderating a conversation on investing through a faith lens. My name is Funolaw Tukoya, but feel free to call me Fun. And I have three amazing panelists who I'm really excited to learn from, and I'm sure you guys are all excited to hear about. But to kick off the conversation, I would like everyone to just sort of introduce yourself, starting with Nana, then West, and Clifford, who you are, what we do. But do please keep it brief, because we're all excited to learn. But Nana, take it away.
Thank you, Fern, and thank you everybody for today's conference and today's session. So I'm Nana Francois. I'm Director of Membership at a nonprofit called Faith Invest, and we work with faith-based groups to really help them invest faith consistently, fully aligning all of their investments completely with their beliefs and values. We work with partners like the World Council of Churches and the Catholic Youth Sustainability Network in Africa. We work with specific churches like New Psalmist in Baltimore or the Evangelical Presbyterian in Ghana. And what we really do is try to understand what the challenges are to faith-consistent investing, to see what we can solve collectively within the network, to see how we can create opportunities, and then to see how we can actually be a voice to move some of the roadblocks to make this easier and more effective. So that's me. Let me stop there.
Wes, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Fun. I'm Wes Lyons, and I help Christians change the world through money. I think we're talking today about ours as a reflection of God in us. A great way to say what I do is that we believe that our investment should also be a reflection of the God. That through I co-founded a group called Faith-Based Investing, helping form that conversation and connect people who do it really well. And I'm also part of Eagle Venture Fund, where we invest in early stage companies that are changing the world, and a real estate fund expressing values through multifamily community investments as well. Really excited to be part of this today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Clifford Chapman, and I'm talking to you from Silicon Valley, California. I should be having my mask on because we're all quarantined here almost still. So I'm managing partner of Creation Ventures. We're a venture accelerator focused on fintech, sports tech, biotech, and digital health. And everything that we do is led from a faith-based investment strategy. And we're working on an impact fund, as well as working with some incredible companies around digital health space that we'll chat about later. That's it.
I'm a little annoyed that Clifford talked to Tommy West in California. So I think we should kick him off. But why don't we start with asking, how would you define that? What does it mean to you? What does that mean? Not to call you that panel.
Sorry, I didn't hear too clearly, but I think you wanted me to make a start on that question. What does it mean to invest with the faith lens?
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, for us and for the groups that we work with, it's really about not just having a faith lens, but also almost having a faith foundation. Really making your principles, the faith values, teachings, and beliefs the absolute principle and foundation of what you do and why you do it. And if you will allow me, I'll just kind of you make sure that we ask the groups to kind of do it for themselves. We don't dictate how we think you should translate what you believe, but I'll give you an example, just taking a Bible verse and how it might lead into thinking about investments. So let's take the second half of James chapter 1, verse 27, looking after widows and orphans in distress. That might lead you to think about, from a negative screening perspective, for example, how can you avoid creating more widows and orphans in this world? What should you avoid in terms of driving those kind of industries moving forward? And if you stop investing in those industries and you're kind of killing jobs there, what can you do to counteract that impact of doing the right thing? Then from a positive impact perspective, how can you actually actively reduce the number of widows and orphans in this world? And what can you do to make their lives more tolerable and more bearable and actually more productive in terms of investing in orphanages or SME opportunities, schools, So we really try to help groups take it from the book and the theory to the really practically, from an investment perspective, let's think about it this way, because this will help you internally to know what you mean, and it will really help you externally to know what funds or SMEs to invest in, and even what your managers and consultants can do to help you find the right opportunity. That's how we see it.
So Nana, I would like to tease that out a bit, because a lot of people don't know that the church was actually one of the pioneers of responsible investing, ESG.
Absolutely.
And it really started with negative screening. So I would love for you to just sort of take that on the head and really describe how the church was an innovator.
I mean, it was interesting because if you think about a lot of these kind of collaborative or cooperative type banking models, even things like the welfare state, which kind of then translates into kind of financial support, it was really about the church being there for the whole community, because that was their mission, that was their point, that was how they were meant to disciple, to be an example of Christ in the world. And part of that is by literally looking for those who are generally neglected and supporting them, and kind of being that, I don't know what the word is, but being there. And then it's funny that if you kind of see how this whole industry has evolved, the faiths were there first, secular world has taken over. There's so many impacts, so many greenwashing, XYZ, and some of the faith groups, if I think about some of our members in Germany, for example, they're like, we've been doing ESG for ages, but nobody appreciates how we do it because everybody's doing it and they can't understand the difference between us and them. So, I mean, it's a really important point that you raised for all of us, that we need to stick firm to the faith foundations and really help those faith groups who are in this area to be bold about why they're doing it, and the fact that we have a history, we have a legacy. Some of these Catholic sisters have been doing impact for 50 or 100 years, and we're just talking about it now. So it's, yeah.
So Wes and Clifford, you guys are really interesting in hot market, whether it's in tech or in real estate. I'm wondering if you could just give specific examples of how faith is your investment.
So basically, so to me, faith-based investing is based on an idea that how a business makes money. It's just as important as how much it makes and what is the impact it's doing on the greater good. So I think defining the impact you want to have with your faith-based investment is a good place to start. What is your impact that you want to make? How do you want your investment to impact your beliefs and your values is really a key point to me. And do you want to invest in the greater good for an immediate return, or both, are key questions that one should ask themselves. And I think, you know, around faith-based investments, I can't believe I did that, exists across all asset classes. And it's, you know, and Wes would co-sign what I'm about to say. It's a multi-billion-dollar investment model. And what COVID has done is created everyone to really think about what's important to them and how they want their dollars to go into things that are impactful and things they truly care about. And that's kind of how I define investing through faith.
Yeah, we've definitely seen COVID, I think, helped everybody realize how connected the world is. And that really translated into fund flows into the wider sustainability movement that it's grown into, where $50 billion flowed into specific sustainability funds last year, which Q4 last year actually almost topped the previous annual record. And I think a lot of that was people realizing how connected the world is. And two examples I'll give of how we see expressing faith through an investing lens is this week a lot blew up around the China Uyghur province. There's forced labor allegations, and a lot of folks are divesting. And there's just a massive kind of war going on actually around what's going on in forced labor. And one of our portfolio companies at Eagle called Freedom is basically giving an easy button to companies to be able to say, all right, it's really hard to take your spend data and figure out 5 layers deep in your supplier to the supplier to the supplier. Is there forced labor happening? And they're just a software that makes it become an easy button so you can start cleaning out your supply chain. And there's a really big place for churches and for governments to come in and say, this is really important. It's really businesses' place to come in and say, this should be easy. That's a problem that businesses should solve. So that's a great example of a company saying, hey, there's 46 million people living in forced labor. How do we build a business that actually combats it directly? And this week has been just an absolute war in the headlines, and our company's right in the middle of it. Another example that you'll hear from in a few minutes is a company called LiveFull, trying to create healthcare access for all. And Hogan and Matt, that you'll get to hear from in a few minutes, they knew they had in their hands probably the best bug repellent in the world, which has a lot of potential to save a ton of lives from dengue and malaria. And what they could have done, and what you'd normally do if the bottom line is just dollars, is go design for New York City, London, Tokyo, Dallas, kind of the high-end markets. Because if you have a natural bug repellent that's way better than anything else on the market, you can charge an extraordinary sum and make a ton of money. But they didn't do that. They designed for security guards in Ghana making $2.50 a day, who have now, through testing, been showing that people are actually buying bug repellent and creating a sustainable solution to malaria and dengue, and creating jobs along the way, and a really amazing culture. We really break it down into product. Is the product redemptive process? Are you creating jobs that Nana was talking about? Like, are you creating jobs? Are you bringing life in the process of this business? And then the culture. So people, product, and process, basically. And those are two examples of just entrepreneurs expressing their faith in the middle of, like, it's all out battles. I mean, malaria, there's a lot of people dying. In forced labor, that's 46 million people. And it's not just government that should be fighting these battles.
Clifford, go ahead. You look.
No, I was going to say, okay, Wes, so you pretty much just covered 2 questions.
Sorry, am I jumping ahead?
So, no, I was just going to say again, that's basically, so Wes is coming from the investment side, and he's telling you about 2 entrepreneurs that saw a problem and came up with a solution. And from his faith-based investment model is someone that it was worthy to put their dollars and their resources into. So that's just a great example, Wes. I got some too, but I'll wait.
I actually want to tie a thread between investing and some of the work Anna is doing. Wes, you talked about the Uyghurs in China, and I'm trying to, how do you get evil out of the supply chain of whatever you're doing, whatever investment decision you're making? Whether it's in technology, where you have cobalt, which is mined in places like Uganda and Congo. How do you square away investing in high growth industries in which there might be a little bit of evil in the supply chain or in how these products are being made? And how do you square that away with investing in a faith lens? And Nana, how do you guys think about sort of this new age of investing and sort of all the inputs that make these beautiful outputs, but many people don't know the inputs? I know that's a very convoluted question, but it's something that I've been thinking about since West mentioned.
I'll pick up some of it, and then whatever I leave, I'll let others cover. Yeah. So it's kind of how do you invest in the good where there's a little bit of bad? And actually, it's a really live debate in terms of, is it divestment? Is it engagement with the companies? Is it really relying on those end beneficiaries or end sufferers to really raise up what could be done better? Is it investing in the technologies that are actually going to reduce some of the evil so they're less negatively impactful? It's an ongoing question, because normally when you dig into the depth of things, especially at the larger scale, there are very few things that are 100% non-evil. I think what part of our work and our mission is in kind of raising the voice is to kind of point it out. Don't pretend it's not there, be clear about it, but then let's come up with plans to try and counteract and work on it. And I think it's about being honest about that and not pretending that there's a whole realm of 100% perfect opportunities. But having said that, it's also realizing that some of the places which are genuinely good, there's a lot of work and a lot of so-called financial risk and work to be done to make things really impactful and positive in a way, in a better way. Because often the simpler way, the one that's been scaled, manufactured, we know how it works, we know what the profit margin is going to be, involves more evil than we would like to take on. And the solutions that are going to be more sustainable in the long run, and frankly, a better financial investment in the long run, take a lot more work in the short run to set them up in a way that is more sustainable. So I think that's the way that we see it. And then it's also about just remembering what the ultimate mission is. I'm going to give a couple of examples of groups who we work with who kind of have that ultimate mission in mind. And so they almost work to counteract some of the challenges that you see. Thinking again about, I'm going to go back to the Catholic Sisters because they've been doing quite a lot. There's one particular group who I work with closely. And for them, one of the places they focus on, they kind of say environment matters. A lot of people are focused on environment. We really care about migrant communities, how to help them settle, integrate, and actually to be successful. Therefore, we are actively going to go to where people don't go, to that community. We're going to go fast because we know the needs are pretty immediate. We're going to maybe for some time overlook some of the normal issues around what's their status, et cetera, because ultimately you need to help the people and then figure out how to integrate them into the whole system. And you want to catalyze others to have that same level of bravery to make a positive difference. Another example is groups who have decided that the best way to help is to start their own DFIs, because their congregations, their laities are the ones who know exactly what needs to be built. The current financial structures don't work. Investors are finding them, but slowly. They see the needs. They have the money in the system. Let's set up our own institutions and actually try to help ourselves and then get others to come and invest. So let me pause there because I've probably gone off topic slightly from the question, but.
So.
Fun. It's a big, hard question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Clifford.
It is. It was kind of broad, his question. He said it, though. He said it was broad. But and for the sake of trying to keep, because we can have a chat, I'm trying to think about the masses that are watching this and what value we can add as a short period of time that we have. So I'd just like to add to your question, because it's an excellent question that I deal with daily, because the boardrooms that I go into don't look like me, right? So as a mentor and advisor, as well as investor, I look at opportunities around my passions and my beliefs, which is how I can impact and empower diverse populations and women-led organizations through technology. And more importantly, it's how can I bring about change today, not tomorrow? And that's by providing global opportunities to help grow companies, raise entrepreneurs, to teach them how to create generational wealth. And that's for the populations that we serve. That's very key to me, is being able to teach generational wealth. I think one of the speakers, Steve, spoke about that, about generational wealth and financial responsibility. And so in Africa, there's an incredible opportunity. It's always been opportunities, but now COVID has made everyone see, I have to do something and I have to do it now. And so being able to provide opportunities to help aid folks develop their ideas is what's paramount to me. So that's how best I can answer that.
So Wes, I know you have a great answer, but I'm going to do a lightning round because we're coming up on time. So in keeping with Clifford's last point, I'm wondering, what makes you all different from traditional investors in due diligence and assessing investees? And a second part to that question is, what opportunities are available in faith investing for God's entrepreneurs in Africa? Go ahead, Wes. Yeah.
Should I start? Our goal as we're running through due diligence on companies is to try to provide a lot of value at every step of the road, so that we have 3 phases that if we say no to 99 out of 100 companies that come through the pipeline. And so most of them just get a no email with a long list of all the other places they might be able to get funding. So it's not just no, because it's helpful to here, hey, you're not a fit, but here's all the other places to check. And then if they go into phase one, trying to give so much consulting value in phase one that even though most of them will get no, that they got a lot of value at it. So we aspire to actually, we want every company to take a stakeholder mentality where they're looking at the community, their supplier, their customer, their investor, everybody as equally important in God's eyes, attempting, and we don't always get it right, to try to iterate to a place where that companies that didn't receive funding would experience that from us as well. And then specifically the second half of your question, what opportunities we're seeing in Africa. There's faithdriveninvestor.org has a marketplace, and there's a number there. It's basically an angel investing marketplace where they're putting a lot of opportunities. Some of those are in Africa. They do have several accelerators flowing opportunities into from Africa there. And then Talenton, if you're not familiar with them, is a fund focused on East Africa that's doing an extraordinary job of, and I remember when I met David Sims, who co-founded that, he just explained so clearly what he does. He takes people from $1 a day to $10 a day in East Africa. I understand in one sentence what you do, and they do it for the glory of God, really integrating discipleship beautifully. So I think they're one of the shining stars in Africa right now.
So, Nana, go ahead.
No, I'll take the same question. In terms of what we do differently, I think the mission and the impact is one of the key things. Like the importance of that is raised up, and we encourage our groups to do that in terms of the way they due diligence opportunities. And then when we think about what opportunities are there, we're really trying to work with the groups to create their own opportunities. I'll talk to two things. One is that we're working with another partner, Geneva Agape Foundation and Oikos, to create a vehicle that kind of has some of these grassroots projects that are proven but not fundable, not easily fundable in their current state, to kind of create these combined, balanced, diversified, bigger, more standard vehicles that other investors, including faith-based groups, can invest in. And so some of it is about making the structures that more people are more familiar with so they can actually move the money. The other thing that we're trying to do in terms of generating opportunities is that we have a program, Faith Long-Term Plans, which is really getting faith groups to make 7 to 10 year commitments on what they want to do with everything, not just their money, but their kind of education, housing, teaching, everything, in order to do better for people and for sustainable development. And out of those plans come opportunities that will need structuring and funding. And so for us, it's also about creating a pipeline that is so based in the faith-based groups that by the time you come to diligence and invest in them, you know exactly why the opportunity is there. Therefore, it's much easier to make your commitment.
For me and fun, I'm kind of just going to do like Wes did in the beginning. I'm just going to jump to something that's paramount to what we're doing in Africa. So right now, my focus in Africa is around the digital healthcare space. Yes, you have food scarcity. Yes, you have energy. Those are all historically a lot of investors from overseas in the UK and whatnot come over and try to make those types solar initiatives. We're focused on the digital healthcare space. And the socioeconomic disparities in healthcare, as you know, are immense, but in diverse populations and the elderly around the world is actually sickening to me. So the only way to close the gap is through technology, I believe. And next week, one of our digital health startups we work with, it's called Human Care Therapeutics, will make a major announcement concerning the global pandemic. And we'll be working with all the hospitals and pharmacies throughout Africa to introduce the fastest and most cost-effective FDA, EUA gold standard PCR mobile COVID testing technology and vaccine distribution. So that's on-site, coming to all the different villages, small towns, as well as large, and provide vaccine distribution as well as on-site mobile labs. And that's something I'm very passionate about. This is going to be a huge announcement. And we'll be partnering with laboratories and community-based organizations and churches as well. So that's something that we're, we can talk all day about these incredible opportunities, but if we're not healthy and safe, then our longevity to life is cut a little short. We don't have access to the vaccine if we're not getting access to proper testing. And it shouldn't be based on your income in other countries. whether or not you're getting access to the vaccine in a timely manner, or you're actually getting proper testing. So we're going to make it available for everyone.
So we are at time, but I want everyone to do just a quick 30. I once heard a sermon where the pastor was a wealthy business. Anytime he had investments to make, he would go into his inner room and pray about it. So if I gave each of you $1 million to invest in post-COVID recovery, what are you praying about, and what would you invest in?
Healthcare.
Healthcare for Clifton. Wes, what about you?
Maybe one better, just tell you where the last $1 million went. Liveful, you're about to hear all about them. Saving lives, creating jobs, just a regeneration of communities. They're doing awesome stuff. That's exactly where we put the last dollars, and it's where the next ones will go. So
great plug. That's a great plug.
and I would put it into actually supporting the entrepreneurs themselves to make their projects investable. So much more general, but that kind of whole training, foundational, how to get your idea and your business out there so others can come and add to the base funding. Yeah.
And then I'd like to add to that. So that's so we call them knowledge centers, and we're working to with certain partners in Africa to develop knowledge centers and incubators where we're bringing our technology there and helping fast track young entrepreneurs.
I have 100 questions to ask each of you. This has been such a great conversation. I want to thank everyone for listening to Investing Drift, and also want to always bringing a very great group of to discuss really relevant topics. I would like to pass the baton over to our Olive. I believe she's backstage. Lead the next conversation. Thank you so much, Nana, Clifford, and Wes. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Yeah.